Hello parents, I hope you're doing good. God bless you and your children and your family as well. In today's video, we're going to talk about primitive reflex maturity. Part of our root cause therapy, primitive reflex integration is very essential step because primitive reflexes are vital for proper development of the brain and nervous system. What happens if the primitive reflex is integrated and what happens if the primitive reflex is retained? Basically, when the primitive reflex are integrated, the child's brain and the human brain will work 100% because primitive reflexes are vital source of proper development of the brain. So primitive reflexes start right after birth. If the child is able to stand up and then walk and then run, child is able to socially communicate with other people, if they are able to make proper eye contact, if they're able to write properly on the line of the paper, if they're able to use their left and right side body, their overall limbs properly, if they're able to be independent in their life, if their cognition skill is very good, this means their primitive reflex is integrated. But what happens if primitive reflex is retained? The child's speech will be poor speech, or few children will be non-verbal. They can't write or hold a pencil properly. They won't have proper eye contact or optokinetic reflex. Few children, if they have like neuromuscular disorder, they will not able to walk as well. Few children, they don't know how to coordinate the body properly. And few children, they're not cognitively fine. They will have poor cognition, dyslexia. It's part of reflexes being retained. So much of these symptoms we can see this in developmental delay, autism and ADHD. It's very vast topic, but having a retained primitive reflexes causes developmental delay basically. Or developmental delay, we can see retention of primitive reflexes. So what do we need to do? There is main 8 reflexes that we focus on. First is palmar reflex, Babinski reflex, rooting reflex, snout reflex, spinal gallon reflex, which is very important, asymmetric tonic neck reflex, symmetric tonic neck reflex, Moro reflex, and then optokinetic reflex. These are the major reflexes that we work on, but there's more than 20 plus reflexes which is present inside the human body. Alright, so most of these reflexes require proper integration. And for the reflex to get integrated, one is we need to start integrating it with therapeutic approach we can do. But how do they get retained? That's the major question we have. One is we can have retention of primitive reflex with brain injury, cellular damage like oxidative stress, which we primarily see in autism, ADHD and developmental delay. When this happens, cells in the brain gets affected, as usually we all know how that happens. If you don't know, you can watch my previous video which I have uploaded in the channel that will really explain how that happens, the process of oxidative stress. So when this happens, cells in the brain are getting affected, primarily the cerebellum. Where is primitive reflexes? In the brainstem. Brainstem is getting connected to the cerebellum. So pretty much cerebellum has having a lot of cellular damage. So reflexes will primarily get retained for children with developmental delay and autism. So what do we need to do is in the root cause, we need to work on the brainstem. Start from the beginning. First step, integrate the reflexes, the palmar, rooting, all the reflexes. For the child to talk properly, we need to work on palmar reflex, rooting reflex and Moro reflex. We also see social communication on asymmetric tonic neck reflex. Alright, what about child needs to sit down in one place and they need to focus in the reading, studying, writing. For the child to reduce the hyperactivity, we need to work on the Babinski, the foot. Next is symmetric tonic neck reflex. That is very important. We need good amount of postural control, right? For a child to sit straight, have a good posture, we need to work on the symmetric tonic neck reflex. What about the child needs to write down, hold a pencil and write down in a paper, read in a singular line, read a book, read a paper. We need to work on asymmetric tonic neck reflex. Is very important to write in singular line properly. To have a good handwriting, it's a requirement. What about social skills? That's where a lot of children in autism lags. Moro reflex and asymmetric tonic neck reflex. Because asymmetric tonic neck reflex primarily works for attention focus, communication, social communication. From my experience, this is what I've seen. Next is Moro reflex, flight and fear response. To reduce anxiety, To open up to this physical world, this environment, we need good amount of Moro reflex. So the child can easily communicate, have a social skills. These are the major reflexes that we primarily work on. So if you haven't started primitive reflex integration, here's the thing. Please do it. Start it right away because it is very important. If you can start primitive reflexes, you'll see good amount of positive results. But the thing is, primitive reflex are involuntary movements. So the only way we can integrate is through properly integrating it. We can't just do random exercise to integrate primitive reflex. It has certain patterns. Then only the brain cerebellum will start working. The brainstem will start to kick off. So to properly integrate primitive reflex, you need proper good amount of professional support. So if you need to integrate your child's primitive reflex, do call us. We'll be very happy to help you out because we primarily work on the root cause, on the reflexes as well. So I hope this video was very helpful. I will explain all the primitive reflex in the future videos as well. So we'll talk about palmar, rooting in a specific videos, like separate videos. So I hope this video was very helpful for you parents. Do follow primitive reflex integration. That will really have good positive changes in your child for sure. So I'll see you in your next video. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.